thank all you folks for joining us. Please you mute your mics when you come in. Denise, introduce yourself. She's one of our more recent board members too, so we really appreciate her help.
I'm Denise Garza. I am an actor, singer, writer, producer person here in Austin area. I have a day job working for the state. I've been home for like 20 minutes now, so yay. Glad I made it here to be with y'all. Yeah, so that's really all I need to say about myself. I'm ready to talk to our guests.
Did Babs send you a bio, Denise?
She did not, and my iPad is now kind of stuck in some weird mode that I can only see a few people and admit people on the participant list when they come in. So
well, I can kind of introduce Babs if you want me to.
Sure, go ahead.
Babs George has been basically the premier leading lady of Austin, Texas for 30
she's here
years.
now. We can see her.
Oh, there she is. Introduce yourself, my darling.
You go ahead, Sharon. I'm enjoying it.
He likes this. Babs George has been one of the top stage actresses in Austin for 35 years. When I was in high school and college, I saw her on stage and said, that's what I want to do. And we got to do a show together when I think I was 22. And it was such a big deal to be in a show with Babs George. So that was a big thrill. Since then, we have become good friends, and I'm honored to be her assistant at the Actors School as my day job, to help her school, which is it runs under ACC Continuing Education. So it is a professional training school that teaches all levels and offers some of the most affordable acting classes in town. But it really speaks to the need for actors to continue training throughout their careers. And that's what we hope that we're creating for people, a place to go reasonably without breaking the bank, to continue to work on yourself and your craft so that you get better and keep growing. So, and she also does film and television.
I couldn't have said it better. Thank you, Sharon.
Of course, anytime. I am the ham to her egg. I'm definitely the ham in this relationship, but yeah.
Awesome. We are so glad to have y'all here. So for folks who are out there, some of you are recognized, some of you, this may be your first time with us. We're going to do some planned questions and answers with Babs and Sharon, and then around 7:30 we'll do questions. We're going to do questions where you raise your hand on Zoom rather than put them in the chat. So just hold your questions until we're that time. And plus, I don't think I can see the questions at this point, or the chat at this point anymore. So we're going to get started. Yeah, so welcome Sharon and Babs from the Actors School. One of the reasons I wanted to reach out to them to have them join us is because I'm in a few actors groups on Facebook, and I put the post about today in some of those groups, and I see so often, where can I get training that's really good and affordable? And I've taken a few classes at the Actors School. I just took one that ended at the end of March, and I have had such a good time. And I wanted more people to know about it if they didn't know about it already. So thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
So I know that Sharon has already mentioned a lot about Babs, but I would like for both of you to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do in the acting community and for fun, just so we can get to know a little bit more about you. Either one of you can start.
Go, Babs.
Okay. Well, I came here in 1987 for family reasons, not to become an actor. I was already an actor, but I was already a member of Screen Actors Guild and Actors Equity Association, and this was not necessarily a place where that was happening. People were not hiring, paying actors to work. So I didn't really come here for that. I had another agenda with my family. But after a while, I needed to work. It's like, I'm an actor, I have no skills. So I had been training in Los Angeles with this man named Charles Conrad at the CEC studios in Burbank. And what he was teaching sort of changed the way I looked at acting. I had a BFA in acting already, but it just was so different and so inspiring and so beautiful. And I wanted to teach it. I had never really taught before. So I wanted to teach it. And I went to Don Toner, who was the artistic director of Live Oak Productions back in the day, and then became the State Theater, and then Austin Playhouse, and now his daughter is at the helm. But he said, well, you need to start an acting school. And I went, oh, I am not a business person. I wouldn't know the first thing about starting something like Sharron does. So he gave me $50 and I had a laptop, and I started the school, and I taught, and I got a couple other teachers to teach. And then just slowly but surely, that was in 1993. So about in 1999, the president of Austin Community College came to me and to Mr. Toner and wanted to bring us into ACC, Austin Community College, into the continuation program as an entity, as a complete entity. And I still do everything. We still decide on what classes, what we pay the teachers, everything. It's just that we're under their umbrella. So I have been acting for about 45 years and teaching for about 30 years, and I teach it in university. I went and got back and got a master's in classical acting. So acting is kind of just what I do. It's sort of my life, and I don't really do a lot of other things. It's just what I do. It feels very small, but in fact, it's very big. And I do stage and film and television, and I used to do voiceover, but that's a whole new world of voiceover. I was doing it in the old days with the tape and slicing it. But so yeah, that's me really in a nutshell.
Sharron?
Sure. So I was born and raised here in Austin. And like I said, grew up going to theater, especially after I got my driver's license. And was raised in a very, 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 very conservative church-focused world. And in fact, did my first plays in the church. And once I came of age a little bit and was able to go into the community and audition, I really met my people. And I credit the Austin theater community with helping me to grow up, helping me to become curious and bold and fun-loving and compassionate. So I love acting because to me, it is the best way to practice life. And to me, learning to put on new behaviors is not only magical when you see it happen on stage and in stories, and that's certainly important and can have a great effect. But I feel like because it helped me become who I am, I'm able to learn from every character I play. And I appreciate so much the times that I've been able to pretend to be someone else because it really has helped me build my own character. I believe that behavior has meaning. And once we learn how to not only interpret that in others, but to create that in ourselves, it can be transformative. So to me, acting is a little bit bigger than the production I'm working on. It's kind of a way of life, and I'm pretty enthusiastic about it. So one of the projects that I've done since returning home, I moved to New York and was there for 18 years, acting, doing a lot of regional theater, a little bit of off-Broadway, some television, like, I don't know, 8 or 10 appearances on television, some indie films. But when I returned also like Babs for family reasons to help with my aging parents. And when I came back, seeing my theater community that had raised me a little bit being disconnected and kind of siloed and not very well known in the live music capital of the world. I decided I wanted to help do something about that. So in addition to my fantastic job at the Actors School, I began a project called ATX Theatre, and it has united the 80 theater companies that are in Austin. Did you know there are 80? Hardly anybody knew that. To work together, to collaborate instead of to compete. So I'm really trying to build community with all the theater workers in Austin, all the actors in Austin, all the directors, producers, costumers, lighting designers, everybody. I want us all to take a little better care of each other. So ATX Theatre is something that is basically it's a website and a moving community. So the website is joinable. You can become a member. It's completely free to join. We have a yearly citywide audition where last year 40 producers and directors came and sat in the audience, and 150 something actors came through. And we're about to do that again in June. So that's my passion project. And Babs helps me eat while I do that.
Awesome. I have questions for both of you on what inspired you to, Babs start the Actors School and Sharron start ATX Theatre. You've kind of touched on those. Or is there anything else you want to add about how does it inspire you now? How does it keep feeding that passion? We'll go a little bit deeper since we touched on the initial starting.
Well, I think the responses that we get from our students, they're very appreciative of the fact that they can afford the classes. And I think one of the questions that you asked was, well, if you can keep the prices low, can you keep the product high? There are a lot of good actors who are good teachers in this community who really want to be doing both, and it gives you flexibility. Our school gives them an opportunity to teach and make some money, and it's not a full-time job, and gives them flexibility so they can go do their projects. And if they have to bow out for a night or something, then there are other people who can pinch hit for them. So it's we've got 10 teachers now teaching all kinds of things. And it's what they want to teach, because that's what I always ask. I said, well, what do you want to teach? And we see if it fits into what we want to do. And I don't know that to me, I started teaching again at my school because I also teach at Texas State and St. Ed's. But I was teaching last night, and I so love it at our school because it's such an eclectic group of ages and people and backgrounds, and it's just absolutely, you just leave really very lifted, and so do the students. I don't know, I think that's what keeps us going. That's what keeps me going.
Awesome. Yeah, I was so glad to be back in class. So yes, thank you for having me after school. With the different, my class was on Saturday morning, and so that's one of the things I love about your classes. For people who may not know, there's times are available weekdays, weeknights, and there were Saturday classes, and so that was something that was really helpful for me as I work full-time and I'm an actor, to have something on Saturday that I could do, so that I wasn't out.
We also have Sunday classes. We teach at Cypress Creek. We teach at South Austin Community College. We teach at Highland, and we teach at Northridge. So we're really spreading out and finding different places to teach to accommodate the Austin community.
That's great. Yeah, and Cypress Creek, that's the one in Cedar Park area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right, and the reason we were able to teach there is because one of our instructors moved there. So she wanted to teach there. So that's kind of, we want to be sure everybody's happy, but it's great to be able to go into new communities. And one of the reasons we can keep our classes affordable is because we are supported by the college. So we're not renting a room per se, like other teachers have to do, or paying rent monthly to maintain a school. So we're so fortunate to have that luxury. And even though ACC, if you've never taken a class with us and you register, you'll see it's a little bit of a process because you do have to basically get an electronic ID with ACC in order to participate. It's not horrible, but it is a few steps, and it's like a large institution instead of kind of just signing up for an acting class. But once you do it once, it's not so bad. It's really easy the next time you take a class. It's just, a few steps online. So it's worth it because we're able to keep the prices down.
Excellent. Do you want to expand, Sharron, on what still inspires you with ATX Theatre? I know you started it during the pandemic, but what keeps you motivated still to keep on trucking with it?
Yeah, actually it started just before the pandemic.
Okay.
We literally had our first meeting of 7 theater producers on March 11th, 2020. And on March 13th, the world shut down. So we sort of turned and started having Zoom meetings like you guys. But that was actually, not that there was very much good about the pandemic, but it provided us a time for slowing down. It provided the theater producers who are usually scrambling in productions and don't have time to go have coffee with colleagues. Everyone had all this time on their hands suddenly. They were all quite bereft because their worlds were rocked, their spaces were shuttered. So it weirdly became a time when the theater producers in Austin suddenly had time to be in a room together. They actually became friends. As we came out of the pandemic, a few of them co-produced things. There's just been a lot more communication just because of the way it worked out. So that's a beautiful thing. And now it's kind of a trend in Austin theater to collaborate. And it's a little bit shameful if you don't. So, which is great.
Awesome. That's excellent. So Sharron, you mentioned how much you admired Babs, what an inspiration she was to you as an actor. What inspired you to decide to go work with her at the actor school?
Oh, life. I have a very rich and somewhat complicated family life. I've got 2 children, 3 dogs, wonderful husband who's over there. Hi, honey. And my mother lives with me. We're about to enter a renovation. We have a complicated life, but I very much felt a need to earn a little money, first of all. And also, I've always respected Babs and was very interested in the work that she's doing with the school. And she also needed someone. And I heard that the person that had been helping her was leaving, and I thought, well, maybe that'll work. It's kind of flexible and Babs is cool. So it worked out. We have a lot of fun together, and we're kind of on the phone for a good part of the day. And I don't know, it's nice when you work with someone you really like.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think I could do it without Sharron. I don't really know what I would do. I always go, now, Sharron, what would you do? Or how would you say this? Or blah, 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 blah. So it's nice to have someone that you actually can trust to. Also, Sharron has so many crazy ideas. Sometimes it's like, we need to stop with the crazy ideas. But it's really good because I have a tendency to sort of like keep things simple, but not Sharron.
Yeah, it's my fault. Classes like Uproot Fears and Unleash Stage Presence, that was my fault, because I've met so many people who are basically paralyzed when they get up in front of people, and it got even worse after the pandemic. And even our teachers were noticing that some people just really were stuck in their fear. So we've developed that class. We found a teacher through ATX Theatre. We found a teacher. So sometimes the two, feed each other to some extent. They're absolutely separate entities, but I find people for the actor school through ATX Theatre, and we try to help whoever we can find who wants to do that work. So
Awesome. I have two questions that kind of go together because Babs, you mentioned how you determine what kinds of classes you have available. And you mentioned that, you know, you ask your instructors what they want to teach. So tell us more about the classes. Sharron just brought up the uprooting your uprooting, facing your fears.
Uproot your fear. Uh-huh.
Uproot. Okay. I didn't write it down fast enough. So what other kinds of classes do you have there? I know there's a variety. Because I look at the class list all the time. So can you let folks know like what different kinds of classes you have?
Sure, and Sharon can remind me what I will forget. So we have a basic class, which is acting fundamentals, making sure that, you know, a lot of people have done a lot of acting, but they haven't really had any formal training. And it's not that it's just that they need a little bit more technique to be more specific actor as opposed to a general actor. So we have an acting fundamentals class, and then there's steps you take, and then you can go to explorations, which is the next step, and you can go to explorations 2, which is the next step in terms of taking scene study class. But then you can always take improvisation. We have an improvisation class that really is improvisation for the actor. And we have accents class. So every semester we have different accents being taught. We have foundations of singing taught by Adam Roberts, who has got so much experience in that area of musical theater and vocology and singing training and voice training. He also teaches the speaking voice for the actor and for anybody really. And he does private singing lessons with us as well. We have, Sharon, help me out. We have
the commercial class taught by Jackie Calloway. She also teaches Tools of the Trade, which is a class that may be of interest, especially to this group, if you're already kind of in there working. It's a class that really kind of dives deep in a group setting into what is a good headshot. Let's look at all these headshots and let's talk about why these work and why these don't. Let's look at your headshot and talk about what's your type. Let's delve into what we think that is. Other people tell that person what you think their type is. And then, you end up figuring out kind of what it is you're selling and then how to sell it. It's a terrific class. She also talks about reels and how to make a reel snappy and how to cut correctly. And she's so generous with her time. She has helped people outside of class to make sure their reels really get up to snuff. She also talks about how to get an agent. She talks about really our local community in terms of television and film work. And she talks about self-submitting. She talks about a little bit about self-taping, though we have a self-taping class from time to time. We don't offer it every semester, but she teaches that class as well. And she's great. She works in commercials a lot and also does stage. So she's a real, cross trainer in terms of sort of everything we're about. So she's a treat. And she teaches the commercial class that really helps you get more comfortable with those self-tapes. So.
And we have voiceover, intro to voiceover classes too.
Right.
Who want to go that route.
Right. And something that's great about those classes is that those are actually more effective on Zoom than in person. So we do offer those on Zoom, intro to voiceover 1 and 2, taught by Cliff Miller, who is a working voiceover actor as well as a stage and film actor. Anything else, Babs? That's mostly it.
It's mostly it.
Okay.
It's all on our website.
Yep, theactorschool.org. And yeah.
Babs, what is your favorite part of teaching and what is your favorite class to teach?
Oh gosh, my favorite part of teaching. There's so many things. I don't really know what it is. I think it's just being with all those people who are so hungry and excited to be there. They've gotten their cars and they've driven there, they've paid their money, and and they come from different walks of life, and to me that's just extremely exciting. My favorite class to teach is still probably Shakespeare, acting Shakespeare, but
I
not
had
that
a feeling you were
not
going to
that
say
everybody
that.
in
I
the
would-
world wants to take that class, but I quite love it because it's a challenge for me still. I mean, it's always a challenge for me to work on Shakespeare, so I really love it.
Excellent. Sharron, you kind of talked about what you love about acting. Is there anything like really that's your favorite part of it?
Oh, I just think that it feels like a very organized activity to me. Life is so chaotic, right? And the world is so chaotic. And to me, when you get to suspend disbelief and go into that place of pretend with others, it's deeply relaxing to me, honestly. It's sort of life purified. So I think it's a real joy to get to do that. I don't actually act very much anymore just because my plate is so full in so many directions. I'm sorry, my dogs are growling at each other right there, by the way. Hey, stop it.
You love animals.
What can you do? It's Zoom. But I look forward to returning to it one day. And I teach from time to time as well, but it's not my focus. My focus is really more organizing people to enjoy it more, right? I'm really working, especially with ATX Theater, to make sure that the public knows about all the theater going on. And so it's a little bit more of a marketing role right now than an acting role for me. But I did a lot of theater. So it's okay to take a break. And I will probably go back to it when my youngest is driving or something, or when I'm an old lady. I don't know, when I get to be Lady Bracknell, I'll go back to
I think
Yeah.
sometimes when it's just so deeply entrenched in your soul, you just you have to go back at some point. It just becomes a part.
I absolutely will. And I miss it like crazy, but my life would be extremely difficult if I were gone every night right now.
Yeah. Oh, I
So,
understand.
yeah, I can't do that right now. So I'm contributing in other ways.
Which is, we're very grateful. Babs, what is your favorite part of acting?
Oh gosh, I think what Sharon said was wonderful. I don't know, there's something so soulful about acting where you just let go of yourself, whether it's film or stage. But I mean, I've done so much stage. And that's another thing. We do also teach film acting at our school. Forgot to mention that. But making that connection with another human being to me is unbelievably exciting when you're working across someone, and that's part of the teaching too. When they're working across someone and something happens, there's an energetic connection that happens. It's just, oh my gosh, it just comes from somewhere other than just your sort of intellectual cognitive self. And to me, that creativity is just mind-blowingly exciting.
Yes, agreed. And as Babs mentioned, and we did forget to say, we have acting on camera 1 and 2. We've got a couple of different teachers for that. One of our newest teachers just moved here from Los Angeles. Her name is Francine, and she's terrific. She's really good. She's not teaching this summer, but look out for her class coming in the fall. She's quite wonderful. Francine Michelle is her name. Filmmaker, actor, teacher. She knows a lot.
Super. Sharron, you mentioned citywide auditions for ATX Theatre that you were coordinating. Do you want to talk a little bit about that for folks who might be interested?
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone is welcome to join ATX Theatre for free. And once you join, you are also welcome to sign up for the citywide auditions. They are June 1st and 2nd this year. They'll be held at SAG Theatre in the Clayburgh stage. And we really appreciate SAG providing that space for us. They are kind of helping the little guys by allowing all the producers of smaller shows to have space to do that. So that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And the guidelines for the audition are up on our website, atxtheatre.org. If you go to the auditions tab, there'll be a pull down and it's Citywide Auditions 2024. It's free to audition. We wanted to be sure there was no cost barrier so that everyone who really wanted to could do it. We used to have a thing called unified auditions, I guess,
Yeah.
here that were produced by a different group, Austin Creative Alliance. And they charged at one time, I think 40 and then 45 and then 60. And they were charging actors to audition. And being an actor myself, I just feel like that's wrong. So I told them they wanted to collaborate with ATX Theatre because they knew that we had basically all the actors in town on our email list, right? They wanted to collaborate with us. And I said, fine, I will collaborate with you if we make the audition free. And they said, oh, we can't do that. We have to pay for the marketing and we have to pay for we can't make it free. I said, okay, then do it yourself because I am not charging actors. And so they said, well, why don't you just do it? And I said, fine, great. So now I'm doing it. Kind of accidentally took it over, but it's okay. They don't mind. We're still friends. But yeah, fundamentally, I think there shouldn't be a barrier to that. And when I used to live in New York, there were these places where you could pay to go meet casting directors. And so you'd pay, $65 or $49 or whatever, and go listen to a casting director spiel for a while. And then you got to audition for them. I don't like it. We don't pay to play, people. They pay us, not the other way. So I'm all about kind of actor solidarity. No one makes enough money as an actor in this community, and we need to start changing things little by little to make sure that someday we can. One of the other things I'm fighting for in ATX Theatre is pay transparency. A lot of the theater companies in town, when they advertise a show, they'll say, stipend provided, and you're like, what's that mean? $35? Sometimes it's gas money. And then sometimes it's $200 or $500 for the whole, commitment of 6 or 8 weeks. So I have started to ask them to say the number and put it in the audition notice. I post all the auditions for everything I can possibly find and everything everyone sends me. And I encourage them to provide a dollar figure because you shouldn't have to prepare an audition for something if you don't know if you can afford to be in it. And I'm still getting some pushback on that from producers. They, I think, are a little bit embarrassed about how little they pay, so they don't want to admit it, but I'm not giving up, so.
And I did want to say, I remember the unified auditions. A lot of the pushback I saw from folks was not that they also had to pay because they were in person, so they were giving headshots to everybody who was there, and that was, $1 plus per picture.
We don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
I create a website. I create a website for the producers, and it has everyone's headshot on it.
Okay.
And then you click their face, and then their resume comes up. So when you sign up for the audition, you will submit your headshot and your resume in the little Google form, and then I will build that into a website. And the great part about that is, I'm told that the producers year long go back into that. They remember a person, or like someone drops out and they need somebody to pinch hit in a show, and they'll go back to the Citywide page and find that person they're thinking of. And people have been hired right out of the Citywides. So they definitely work. I have wanted to, this is only the second year of me running the Citywides. My future plan is to include agents and casting directors and people who direct in television and film in the auditions. However, last year and this year, I managed to schedule the auditions on the same weekend as the Austin TV Fest.
Yep.
So yeah.
I will be there.
We'll be there. So well, take some time out and come audition first with us, or on your lunch break or something. But this year I'm putting a little twist in that there's going to be an event 2 weeks after the audition called Nailed It highlights from the ATX Theatre Citywides, where we will take the top 30, 40 auditions and let them perform again in an evening performance at a theater. And we will invite all the television and film people and the agents to that event. So as soon as that event is solidified, those people will start getting those invitations. So it's a great reason to audition. And, you know, if you're one of those people who gets passed on to that event, it's likely that you'll be seen by some agents and casting directors. So everybody wants to come. The agents and casting directors are like, oh, why'd you schedule it this weekend? But I think we might actually lure them in better this way, where they only have to watch, you know, an hour and a half of auditions instead of 6 hours for 2 days.
Oh, Denise, you're muted.
Trying to unmute you.
Didn't know I muted myself.
Okay,
Interesting.
there you go. Thanks.
Thank you for sharing that information about the extra afterwards to encourage folks. And I have another question. I know we need to open it up to participant questions, but this kind of ties in what you just said, Sharron. So I'll ask Babs this question. Like, you both can answer it, but Babs, take this one first. Because people see the actor school, they may see more theater type classes than film and TV. What do you say to actors or folks interested in acting who say they don't want to take theater classes because they want to be stage actors? Or I mean, they want to be TV actors. So why would they?
Well, we're not focused on stage. Oh,
Right.
a second.
I mean, what would you? How would you tell them that? You know, what do you tell them about that?
Well, when I'm teaching a fundamentals class, I'm just teaching acting, and I will speak to the stage, and I will speak to working on camera, and for different whatever the situation is, or just teaching acting, and then you have to then we suggest if they want to go the film TV route after an acting fundamentals class, then they should take an on-camera class. But they need the basics, you know, and then they can go into the on-camera class and see what the camera wants. But they still have all the basics down. They have the basics of acting. Because look at all the British actors who come to the United States and get all the roles, because they're just they're so well trained. They're so, you know, globally trained. They've got voice training, they got movement training, they got blah blah blah. And it's like, why do we just want to have film training, you know, to be a good film actor? It's not enough. I'm sorry. I don't think it is. I think we want to be have more comprehensive training. I'm a person who loves to train myself, and I keep training when I can. And I know a lot of people, and it's sometimes, you know, it's money and time, and I understand that. But our school isn't just about the stage, because our acting classes aren't focused on the stage. They're focused on acting training.
It totally makes sense to me. I hope it makes sense to everybody else. I mean, I kind of already knew the answer, so I just
You were testing me.
Well, no, because I always give my 2 cents in these meetings. I'm sure people are probably like, you know, gosh, she's going to talk again. But like, because I know in this market, a lot of the things we're going to get are co-star role auditions for film and TV, or commercials where we don't have to learn a lot of dialogue.
Right, that's
but
true.
One day we're going to get an audition where we have to learn a lot of dialogue. And if we aren't taking scene study classes where you're doing scene work like that, where you're so focused on just some short things, I think it's a detriment to you that you haven't had that, you know, you haven't really worked on that. And so that's why I was just so excited.
You know, even if you get a day player part or something, and it's just, you just have a few lines, there's still a life under those few lines, unless you're just checking someone out at, you know, the grocery store, which happens a lot. But, you know, I think if you want to be an actor, just be an actor, right? Get as much training as you can so you can say, I am an actor. I can do a lot of things.
It's so much fun.
I don't know.
I
That's just me. I don't know.
I think it's interesting, you know, you can always tell people who kind of make their TikTok videos and then decide they're actors and, you know, they'll come in and they'll play an attitude, right? They won't have an inner life. They won't have made palpable choices that make them impossible to not watch, right? The immediacy and the interest of an actor who has considered and thought out what that inner life is and why. That's why you learn the vocabulary of being an actor. That's why you learn about objectives. That's why you learn how to do script analysis. That's why you learn all the things that you learn in a training program, because it enables that inner life, like you were saying, Babs, to just be there. You do all the work first, and the inner life is there, but it's in character. It's not you. It's something that you've cooked up. And it's just more interesting than watching a person who's playing an attitude or playing imitating something that they've seen elsewhere. That's what an act, you know, that's what we want to watch. So yeah.
Love it. So let's see if there's anybody who has a question for either Babs or Sharron or both. Please raise your hands via the Zoom feature. And we have a couple people. Gary has his hand up first. Gary, do you have a question?
Great to have you beautiful ladies with us. I got into acting in 2000. You know, I'm 76, so I wasn't a young kid. Did it for a couple years. Enjoyed it working with all the people. Got a possibility of working in a play as one of the lead characters, but I thought, man, I can't remember that many lines. My question to you ladies is, having been through a lot of acting, stage acting, what do you do? How do you cover yourself? Do you forget lines? Do you call for a line? Do you fake it? How do you pull yourself through those? Because I know you've had incidences like that, I assume, correct?
You mean when you've got a live audience in front of you, Gary?
You're right.
Oh, you have another actor there, hopefully will help you, who can tell. You I mean, I have forgotten many, many lines, and the other actor has been there for me, and I've been there for other actors, sort of muddle our way through. And somehow, sometimes the audience hasn't a clue that you actually dropped anything. Um, I mean, I think line memorization, especially as you get older too, and I can speak to this, is it becomes more difficult. And some people are afraid, but the more you do it, the better you get at it, because it is working a part of the brain, and is really good for the brain. So yeah, in answer to your question, Gary, you've got another actor there, hopefully, unless you're doing a one-man show, and then, well, I don't know what to tell you. You're just going to have to wing it. No, then you just have to sort of know the piece well enough to allow yourself to get back on track, but you have to improvise. You have to be a good improviser, really, as an actor as well.
And also, you have so much more rehearsal for a play than you do for a film or television scene. Inevitably, you become much more, and this is why I've always loved the theater, and my time in television was interesting, but it doesn't feel as intimate. It doesn't feel as sort of rich to me, just because it's fast, right? But when you've rehearsed that many times and you know the rhythm of the scene, you can really find your way back pretty easily. But you know what? If you've never done a complete play, just do one, right? Do one with a friend. Just read one and then try to memorize the scene and see how it goes. You'll get there eventually.
Thank you both.
It's so good to see you, Gary. Well, it's been so long since I've seen Gary back in the days. Anyway.
Debbie Ray, you're next.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Hi, Babs, and hi, Sharron. Thanks so much for sharing this very, very important information. I know earlier you were talking about some of the classes that are offered at the acting school, but specifically with scene study, character development, I think you mentioned one of those. Are those classes that you offer? And even with your classes, kind of a part B, is there any type of prerequisite with any of any of the classes?
Well,
Like,
usually, unless you've had prior training, you kind of have to take an acting fundamentals class before you take the explorations class, before you take the explorations 2 class. All the other classes, I don't think there's any prerequisite. It's just those acting courses. There is a
This is for film.
prerequisite. There's a prerequisite for the on-camera 1 class of having a basic acting class. And we just basically ask you, have you had previous training? It's
Mhm.
not, or we might ask for a resume or something, but that would be the only prerequisite.
I see.
Does that answer your question?
It does, it does. And just another question here regarding like your character development or even your scene study class. Is that something that is offered every semester? And
Yes.
how is it structured? Given that I'm assuming it's once a week, maybe not.
Once a week. And really our classes, we try to do, we're we are here for the community, and people have busy lives. So our fundamentals class is a 6-week class once a week for either 2.5 or 3 hours, depending on what the teacher wants to teach. Because we have more than one person teaching a fundamentals class. Um, the explorations class is a 7-week class once a week. The explorations 2 class is an 8-week class once a week with an invited audience at the end of it. So you have an opportunity to show your work. So yeah, and then you can take any of these classes more than once because you'll be either working with a different teacher, different students, different scenes.
I see. Okay, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you for the question. That was a really, really good information. Jess, you are next.
Well, hi there. I'm actually a regular visitor to the ATX Theatre page, and I've just started my first class at the Actors School. So this seemed like an ideal place for me to come. And what I have on my mind is that when I have something I noticed when I was looking at various classes. The one I've started, by the way, is acting on camera because my background is theater. I figured I should get some experience in front of a camera, not run by, well, basically by me. What I noticed on the pages is that there's a pro series coming in fall of 2024, but in looking at the course catalog for fall 2024, I'm not seeing anything that's particular to that. So I'm wondering what the pro series is going to be.
Sure. Can I speak to that, Babs? Is that all right?
You're welcome to speak to it.
This was another one of Sharon's crazy ideas. There are a lot of actors in this community who, a lot of friends of myself and Babs, who, they have master's degrees. They've done 176 plays. They've been in 17 movies, right? They are old theater horses or, very, very experienced actors. And it can feel a little awkward for them to come into a class like an explorations class, right? Where just 6 weeks ago, these people were taking acting fundamentals. They're kind of at a whole nother realm, right? They teach themselves, for example. So Babs and I were talking about, well, what if we come up with a series of classes that we would want to take, right? We both have master's degrees. We both are members of both the unions and have been for 20 years or 30 years in Babs' case. And, what if we were going to take a class, what would it be? So we are attempting to find the teachers that we would want to study with and bring them into the actors school. So sorry. Okay. Bring them into the actors school and gather people who are very well-versed and very well-trained, working actors and kind of long-time working actors, so that they're in a class with their peers, really more. That has been a little bit slow going. We had intended to start that series sooner and had a terrific teacher lined up, and then she left town. So we're trying to get that going. I think there really is a need for it. There are so many people who I think would do ongoing training if it was available for them, if they felt comfortable, like they weren't going to be in there with people who just started acting. So we want to see if we can serve that population as well. It'll be for people who either have made a living acting or could if they started back up like that. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
And you're right, it's not on the fall schedule yet. We'll see if it gets there. It's a long way till fall. It is very strange. It's sort of like planning a theater season 2 years before you get to do it. We have to turn in our schedules insanely early for the ACC, you know, for the giant ship of ACC to be able to turn slow enough to get us onto the schedule. And often, you know, it's like at the Titanic. No, but often our schedules change because our instructors are working actors. So sometimes they get a film and we move their class. We try not to do that when it's already full of people, but a lot of times what we turn in, you know, 6 or 8 months beforehand is not what it ends up being exactly.
Yeah, that's why you always have to look at our website because it's up to date.
Yeah. Hi, Donald. Good to see you again.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I like your fir tree background. That's pretty cool.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I had a quick question. I've taken classes at the actor school and many classes outside, but I'm kind of like Gary over there. I have a memorization problem, especially when it's a massive script and you got a short time to do it in.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if there's a class that you would recommend that would assist in not only breaking down the scene, but helping to commit it to memory.
What a great idea, Babs.
Another new
Oh,
class.
uh-oh, we're starting a new class again.
Good job, Donald.
It is a wonderful idea.
Breaking down the scene into sort of beats should be part of certainly our training, and if it's not, it will be. But so that for me, when I have a lot of lines to learn, I break my script down into beats so that beat changes, so that I learn one night one beat, and the next night I learn another beat, and then I see if I still remember the first beat. I start adding to it rather than trying to look at the thing as this whole big monster to memorize. Now at our school, because the classes are so quick, if you're given a huge chunk of text, I don't think any of our teachers would expect you to have it down. I always tell my students, bring your script up with you, carry it with you when you need it, so that you're comfortable, so you're not struggling to always be thinking of the line as opposed to being present in the moment. But I think it's a great idea, and I know a lot of people, and it's not about age, just a lot of people have a lot of fear around memorization. So that's something that could be certainly part of our part of classes that we teach, either built into the class or a class on its own.
Yeah. We have offered script analysis in the past.
Mhm.
We haven't offered it since really, I guess, since COVID ended. We tried, but it didn't fill. That does happen sometimes too. By the way, we try a class and we might get 3 people to sign up. We need at least 8 for a class to make for it to be financially reasonable for the college. So every once in a while, just be prepared. If you take classes from the actor school, there may be something that, for whatever reason, if it doesn't fill enough, we have to cancel the class. We try not to do that. We work really hard to fill the classes so that everybody who wants it can have it. But it's not something that we really have control over. But so we should think about bringing script analysis back. That's a pretty good idea. And we've also toyed with the idea of having like an over 50s club. I'm 53 and I have a fear of not memorizing lines too these days because I'm not acting as much anymore. So I would show up. The idea that if we're all kind of in the same age group, that might be a little bit more comfortable and we can support each other through this wonderful second half of our careers. It's a great idea, and we have toyed with that idea,
Mhm.
but we haven't done
Well,
Donald,
that's a
but
good
the
idea.
idea.
Okay,
Um,
thank you.
There was something you had said and I wanted to follow up. Oh, how long do you have before you have to cancel a class? Like how soon can you get to when the class runs before you have to cancel it?
Well, that's a really good question. Sometimes we think we can get just a couple more, and so we wait till sort of the last minute. But then that's not really great for people because they have schedules and they have maybe have to have babysitters, and so it's a struggle for us to determine when to cut it off. I mean, sometimes the school ACC says, you know, you should really do it at least a week before, but sometimes we go a little bit closer to the start of class. But we let people know. We say, we're short a couple people. We need a couple more people. We really don't want to cancel it. So we just wanted to let you know. We're very good at communicating.
Excellent.
Really
I know
trans-
a few more minutes to go. We have 2 more questions. There's 3 things in the chat that I cannot see. So if there are questions, please raise your hand. We'll try to get through these last few really fast. Michael Andrew.
Thank you guys so much for visiting us today. So one of my questions I have is I'm a traditionally trained actor. I had teaching in New York, and then I had some wonderful opportunities a couple years ago. But ever since then, like a couple years ago, I haven't had too many opportunities. So I was wondering if joining the actor school, if you would recommend doing fundamentals again to try and refresh, or would you recommend taking another class? And if so, what classes would you recommend?
Michael, I think if you're trained, if you have a degree in theater, or if you spent more than, a month in class, and you feel like you have a grasp of the terminology and the kind of basic techniques of how to build a character, I think you could probably go right into explorations. We do that on a case-by-case basis, just kind of, we ask for a resume, or we say, well, what classes did you take? There are some other classes in town, and we know a little bit about those because we know a lot of those teachers. So we can say, oh, they did Mona Lee's class for a year and a half. Yes, they can move right to explorations. It should be fine. So we do kind of do a case by case based on, what you can show us. And every once in a while, I mean, we Google people, right? And if you have an IMDb page with 17 movies, go ahead. You're welcome to join explorations.
Or it might be even explorations too, Michael. You just send us your resume if you're interested in taking one of our classes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Sure.
We try not to be gatekeepery about it. I mean, it's not that we want to keep people out at all, but we do want people to be in the place that's going to be most appropriate for them.
Thank you. It looks like we have one more question. It's just right before 8, so we're going to grab this last question before it's time to go. Allison, you are on.
Hi, everybody. So I'm an independent filmmaker, and I belong to the Austin Whiff Writers Club. So I want to know what stories are missing and what characters are missing for actors when it comes to story.
Stories of women over 50, if you ask me.
Yeah, women over 50, absolutely. I need a job. No, I think more of this is happening already. I don't know if it is for film and television, but certainly it is for stage, is that we're not so much necessarily for women, but for more ethnicities, so that we get a broader range. And our classes we have people from everywhere. English is not always their first language, and that is something we love, would be scripts that tell their story, not just, a wider range of stories. So I think women over a certain age, and I mean, I think that's the trend anyway, but
There's a lot. material available than there
stories.
was 5 years ago for.
Absolutely, there is, but I think we need to continue with that because I feel like when I'm teaching, I have a lot of old scripts and it's like, oh, well, all these students aren't really, I need to give them a little bit more than just what I'm giving them. Just, and it's good for everybody. It's good for it. It sort of enlivens the conversation.
We're on the hunt right now, actually, for a Spanish speaking acting teacher,
Yes.
because we very much want to offer classes in Spanish.
Mhm.
Our population here is like 32, 38% Hispanic in Austin, and or Latinx, depending on what I'm supposed to say, I forget. But we really, really, really want to make everyone feel like there's a place for them at the Actors School, and we are invested in trying to make sure that we make everyone feel at home. But I tell you what, you will not find more interesting and diverse classmates anywhere in town. It's truly a terrific melting pot. ACC itself is, and will become even more so now because tuition is free for high school graduates, which is fantastic. But it's a gift that we get to do this at ACC.
Mhm.
We have people from every walk of life. It's really wonderful.
And all ages, all
Yeah.
ages.
Awesome. Doesn't look like we have any other hands up. I can't see the chat, so I hope everybody's just saying, thank you for.
Hold
Oh,
on, Kelsey.
Kelsey. Thank you
both
for
of
being
you
here,
all.
Kelsey.
Denise, Babs,
Yes.
Sharon, thank you three for being such miraculous folks, such good energy. Great questions, Denise. Great responses to both y'all. We all made it through the eclipse. The world didn't end. We're still here. Everybody's smiling. And thank y'all so much for being with us tonight. And
Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Denise, and everybody.
Thank you.
We hope to see you at the Actors School and hopefully the citywide auditions.
Yes.
you go. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.